I have already mentioned the placeholders. As a matter of fact, I did it several times. They're something like this, or this, or this, or this. You can implement them in different ways and use different kinds of characters to denote that it will be your placeholders, which need to be processed during the report execution. In this particular case, I have used the @ sign at the beginning and at the end of the placeholder, so they are similar to email tokens, but don't mix them. Email tokens come from this form, or let me show it in my development environment. They come from email tokens form, okay? And they denote, for example, the primary business contact or the purpose contact. Placeholders are similar to email tokens in a way that they are something that you can apply in your print destination, and its value will be resolved while the report is executed. If you analyze your typical scenarios, you will recognize that in case of sales invoice report, you would like to be able to have information such as invoice ID, due date, invoice or customer number, customer account, and so on. So with time, based on input from different sites, we came with this list of placeholders. Look at those marked with this checkbox here, that we thought would be useful in most of scenarios. So contact name, customer reference requisition, due date, customer account ID, invoice date ID, customer name, and so on, sales ID. Okay. And if you think further, there are some placeholders that can come handy for every report, and they are not report specific. So we put them under this section, standard or common placeholders. Here you will find things like current year, month, day, company related information, user related information. For example, this user email token is something that we used previously for the BCC field. So if designed and implemented correctly, these placeholders can be used in every string field in the email print destination, which gives you a lot of possibilities for the automation and personalization of your emailed invoices. Let's print once again. I will search for one invoice. Let's see once again what's happening when I print a report. Remember from previous time we will get the email downloaded, so we can open it and then compare it side by side with our print destination to make sure what value comes from which placeholder. Let's go from the top. So here subject, invoice number, due on, due date. They came from the subject, which is here. So invoice, invoice ID, and due date, these two resulted in these two values. Then the first attachment is the report itself, as we can see. And its ID, customer name, and customer account. They came from these placeholders here, invoice ID, invoicing name, invoice account. And then there are some placeholders that I used in the body, like here, customer contact name. Obviously, I don't have anything configured on this customer, so like a generic text comes Sir, Madam, but this invoice ID, date, and due date, they were again resolved as this here. We will discuss this later, but that's it. Let's go back to the presentation. So solution I explained. We need the way to use some kind of a personalized content, and it will be achieved through implementing the placeholders. So let's see what to require from your development team. Minimal requirement, where no implementation is needed, would be to at least maintain a list of supported placeholders available in a Word document, for example, but obviously nice to have, as we saw in my environment, would be a helper form with a list of available or implemented placeholders. And then also your developers would need to implement a logic that will go through all print destination fields and replace every placeholder occurrence with the corresponding value. As a conclusion, this is a highly demanded feature which will give you a lot of possibilities for sending the personalized emails. Together with the previous step, so email print destination customization, it results in a highly professional emails. Time to check our agenda again. We have covered the placeholders, but before we move on to the additional attachments, let me ask you a poll question.